Very good morning to everyone.
Morning.
Very good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
How's day one?
Good.
Huh? Good Really?
Yes. Heavy.
Heavy. How the slides? You all got the slides already, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just refer to it. And yesterday was supposed to be the heaviest in terms of content and theory. But today then we add up together. Today was 100 plus slides. So it's but yesterday was yes. Yeah. So today next slide. Let's take a look. Okay, so today's day 2, we are covering mainly on the HLD system, but before that we also take the opportunity to talk about some legal considerations, okay, with regards to landed transactions as well. Otherwise, next 2 parts are the exciting thing. These are these are new topics that we didn't cover in our previous landed course, alright? So even the legal considerations we have overhauled a bit. Instead of talking about just normal things that you look for in the OTP, because a lot of you are experienced closers already. So we actually bring in things that are more relevant to landed. Alright, what are things that's relevant to landed? And then next thing will be on the website. We will take a break. After that, Justin will take over to talk about the website. Last but not least, this is very important. It's about some of the practices and culture, alright, within HLD itself. Okay. So now I will invite Cindric. Cindric, our first speaker, to talk about legal considerations. Cindric.
Morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm the district IC for D2123. So at the end of the day, don't worry if everything is too heavy. Go back home, print it out, burn and mix water and drink. Okay. That's how I can say. Okay, so today we will be touching on legal considerations for a landed transaction. Okay, so before that, of course, we have this disclaimer. Okay, we'll present to the best of our ability and knowledge. But anything not sure, come back to check with any of the DICs or your respective DIC. Okay, and if not, then you can always go to me. Okay, so now our standard OTP, I'm sure all of you have seen before. So this is Hearten's standard OTP. Nothing changed. It applies to both landed and any resale condo property. Okay. So we've got this standard. Okay. Now on clause 2 itself, you see that there's this thing that says condition of sale. The sale and purchase of the property is subject to the Law Society of Singapore's condition of sale 2020. Previously it was 2012. Recently they have updated it, so now it's conditions 2020. Okay, so what is conditions of sale? If you go in Google, okay, you see this. Right at, you just type in condition of sale, you will see this. I think right at the first heat. Okay, it says condition of sale 2020. This is how it looks like. Okay, these are the content lah. Okay, but we're not training to be lawyers, so if you can read it, print it out, but print again. Okay, but otherwise, why this is important? Because our OTP, some of the conditions are how to put it, incorporated from the conditions from these conditions of sale. All right. So in COS 20, I just put short form now. Condition of sale 2020, okay, there's a clause that it says that the vendor represents the warrants that the purchaser, to the purchaser that the vendor has not carried out any unauthorized additions and alterations to the property. And then on our OTP, clause 8 says, the sale and purchase herein is subject to there being no unauthorized A&A renovations made to the property. Okay, if there is any necessary approval, if there are any, then the vendor shall obtain the necessary approvals before the completion date, failing which the case can be rescinded. So it's a very important clause. I think it's one of the most important clauses for a landed transaction. I don't know if I can see myself. Okay, so now regarding unauthorized additions and alterations. So when selling a landed property, it's fairly common to encounter cases where unauthorized A&A works were done to the house by the seller. Okay, what are reasons? Can some of you think of it? what are some reasons why it's so common in landed versus apartments versus condos versus HDB maybe?
No managed property. MCS.
Yes, yeah, that's one of the reasons. Good one. Anyone? Anyone else?
Costly to get approval.
Costly to get approval, yes, can be cost reasons, yes. That's one of the considerations, that's one of the reasons. Okay, so we go to private. Because it's a private sovereign land where no members of public can access without permission. It's my land. I own this. Some think I can do what I want, but actually it's not true. Okay? Yeah. Just now you mentioned, yeah. No MCST governing the can or cannot be done. Okay? Abundance of space as compared to apartments. You say you stay in a detached house or semi-D, you got backyard, very big. Wow, I got like a football field at the back. So my family over time expand. Want them to stay together, multi-gen. So okay lah, broaden out to more rooms or whatever, that kind of thing. So they have the luxury of space to allow them to do that as well, to increase the build-up. So yeah, so they just suka. Okay, easier to conduct structural works on a landed property versus a condominium apartment. In a sense, easier in a sense because condo you cannot, the building is everything is structured already, it's restricted. So you cannot possibly stay in a penthouse and then you want to increase the build-up. Then what? You can deliver, cannot be, right? So but same thing lah. Abundance of space and it's in a sense in that case it's easier. Okay. Some houses are more secluded. Recently, I think there was one architect himself. Came out in the papers. He stayed in a corner, then beside the house is a walkway, and then he has been encroaching deliberately. He know it's illegal, and he deliberately encroached onto the state land. And then he made an excuse, he lied about it, whatever. Then eventually he was fined quite heavily. Yeah. Okay. So maybe because he thought his house is more secluded, no one will notice no one will ever, yeah. So ignorance of BCA rules can be one reason as well. Some owners just don't, cannot man. Then, yeah. And then, one of you brought up, cost saving as well. Because it's cheaper, maybe they compare different codes. Some contractor, not so, less established, less reputable, tell them, come on, you do with me, I give you this code. But end up, all never submit. Yeah. Whereas more professional, of course, they do everything properly, they'll get QP, and then engineers, all this to do the proper calculation. Okay, later, I'll put some examples of my own personal experience. Now, how to spot an unauthorized structure? Check on uniformity versus neighboring houses, multiple houses developments. For example, this Luxus Hill, Victoria Park Villas, William Park. Okay, you see, uniform, then suddenly one if it's very obvious, I'll stick out like a sore thumb, then something must have been done to the house. Then we need to check with the owner, what have you done? Are they approved? Can we see the submission plan, etc. As compare the as-built conditions against approved plans. So if your owner give you the plan, then it's good to compare. If on the plan say the second floor or the first floor kitchen is just like that, one rectangular, then now suddenly become an L shape, etc. So this will give you clues to determine is there anything that is done that is questionable. Okay, and then how to spot train eyes through years of experience like absence of setback from boundary wall. This can be telltale signs. Not all cases, like yesterday Sean mentioned, certain area, the smaller terrace house especially, sometimes BCA allows you to push back the back against the boundary wall, but case by case basis. Odd location of bedroom and bathrooms or staircase. Okay, an obvious difference in building materials, etc. These are all telltale signs for you to know whether something has been done. Not necessarily illegal, but at least telltale sign for you to question and then ask the owner, have you done something here, etc. Then we determine. Okay. a bit like investigative work, but yeah. Okay, so guidelines for renovation work. So in the BCA website, it says, so these are the guidelines for work. But note over here, not all renovations would require approval of plans from BCA. Okay, there are some building works which are minor in nature, they are exempted from approval. A list of exempted work is given in the schedule. Okay, this one is in the website link here. Now, some of the questions asked frequently will be, what will happen if I do nothing to authorize A&A from the property, okay? Then to have unauthorized A&A to pose safety hazards, okay? The structures were not properly designed by QP. Furthermore, it's also an offense. Earlier this year, I brought a friend to wanted to buy, my friend's buyer, he went to a house, a terrace house at Faber Hills, nicely renovated, okay, he liked the house very much. But then the agent, the lister, the listing agent, mentioned one thing, he said, between the living room, it's quite an expensive space, the living room as well, slightly 3/4 of this room. And the dining room, there was a load-bearing structure, load-bearing pillar, 1 meter by about 30 cm, 1 meter by 0.3 meter, that was removed. And the owner, but he said the owner got an engineer to relocate the load-bearing structure, embed it into the frame, the ground, he said the ground, and the side of the house. Okay, but we cannot see, cannot tell. And then he said that was 10 years ago when she moved in, she did renovation, she did get a proper engineer to come and calculate and do the renovation. But he said because the owner was in a rush to move in, no submissions were made. Wow, alarm bell. Okay, but my friend actually loved the house so much that he wanted to go ahead. Then I said, hey, this one we better clarify and ask carefully. Owner said, I have all the paperwork, but never submit only. Okay? So end up we say, okay, show us the paperwork. The paper is just one floor plan. Yeah, that's where all the engineers don't have. So good thing also my friend has an architect friend. Close friend is the architect. The architect said, no, red flag, better to proceed. Because old houses, especially old houses, their tolerance, they are built with lower tolerance for margin of error. Whereas new ones now, they're built with bigger margin of error for tolerance of margin of error. So he said this one, especially is load-bearing one, if it's not submitted, not done properly, then better don't touch. Anything can happen. Yeah, my friend was so keen that he was even willing to split half with the owner. Say, okay, we get a proper QP in, do all they said, this one because it's embedded, I need to do gamma ray scan of the load-bearing structure, the new load-bearing structure, all this. Cost about, the scan alone without submission cost about probably 7K. He was even willing to split half with the owner, but owner said no. So eventually we walked off and then we bought another property, but we bought 14 Todak Close. Yeah. So eventually, but a couple of months later the house sold to someone else. Yeah. So good luck to the new buyer. So some buyers, they are not aware. Eventually if anything happens, wow, messy. Okay, so these are very important things we need to take note of. Okay.
So when it becomes messy, the agent...
Lawsuit law.
Okay.
Agents might be roped in as well. Yeah. But it was the listed agent that I co-broke with, the so-called the listed agent that I work with to broke. They want to get involved also. After we've investigate further, ask architect, consult all this, the listed agent himself walked off from the deal.
Oh.
Yeah, so another agent came into the picture, represent the seller and so.
They can sign disclaimer after telling you, like your friend, telling you that all these things, and then he doesn't have architect friend. Then he still want to go ahead. Can sign disclaimer.
Okay, this one we'll cover later. Yeah, Q&A we leave it to later. Yeah, I know a lot of ambiguity, a lot of possible scenarios can arise from this. Okay, Okay, how would I know if there's, okay, this one we have covered, okay, briefly. Okay, how can I obtain a copy of approval plan? Yesterday Sean has also covered lah. Okay, refer to yesterday's notes. Submission, you need IC, you need letter of authorization from the owner, etc. Okay. Okay, what should a potential buyer do to ensure existing property is free from unauthorized structures? Okay, a potential buyer who's buying a property should check to ensure, okay, although legal search checks are being routinely done by conveyancing lawyer, will be done, but such does not necessarily surface lah. Okay, because lawyer can only check what is being submitted. If it's not submitted, it's not submitted, right? Sorry. Okay. Okay. So lawyer will do the checks. Okay, but if need to, that's why I say it is thus more appropriate for potential buyer to engage competent QP lah. Okay, qualified persons to investigate whether it's free from unauthorized structure. Yeah. Okay, when they see their alarm, of course, if the house is free, nothing suspicious, all this according to floor plan, all this, then no need. But if need to, like for this case, my friend was willing to get a QP to do a home check, but sadly the seller was not willing to. Okay, rule of thumb over here. Rules of thumb actually. Okay, always ask vendor first especially when we represent vendor, we get a listing. If they have floor plans of the house to ascertain if there are any unauthorized works done to the property when securing the listing. Okay, if necessary, purchase BCA approved plans, building plans, SIP, DIP, RLP, ERA certified plan where applicable. Okay, Sean has covered this yesterday. Okay. There are many occasions where engaging a QP, architect, surveyor, professional engineer may be necessary to advise on and determine if there are any unauthorized work done in the house. Okay, there may be occasions, not to scare you. Okay, okay. Now note this important. Note, okay, if we are informed and made aware, or subsequently it is determined and revealed that any unauthorized work was done to the house that we are marketing, it is our duty to have it made known to potential buyers. Okay, we need to cover. Be professional. That's one thing. Need to cover. Not all cases, just because unauthorized structure, a buyer may walk. Some buyer will still can take it. Later we'll give you some examples. Okay, so don't be scared lah. Oh, not approved. I walk out. I don't want to do this listing. Now we talk about legal requisition. Clause now about OTP, it says the sales and purchase hearing is subject to satisfactory replies being received by the purchaser, okay, to the various government departments and authority. This is what the convincing lawyer will do the checks for you. So what are the checks involved? Okay, so the process for these various checks searches conducted by convincing lawyer is called legal requisition. Legal requisitions from the various departments and authority includes BCA. So information on the latest CSE, TOP plan approval for main building plus A&A. These are some of the things we check out. Okay, briefly, we don't have to know in detail. Okay, but any orders served for ratification to unauthorized works. Okay, may happen also. Okay, any expenses owed to the government. Okay, yeah, etc. So this is what they will check. URA. Okay, what's the last planning decision made to develop the site, detached, semi-D, etc. Some maybe from a semi-D breakaway to form a detached. So the new URA latest development plan on the site. What was the planning decision on the approval for the development approved? Okay, reason for refusal, if any. So all these checks history can be traced. Okay, master plan zoning. NEA, okay, any NEA order imposed on the property. Breeding mosquito as a LTA. Any street work that requires to be rectified outside the property. Is the property affected by any government gazette notification under MRT Act, Rapid Transit System Act. If it's near underground train, train lines, etc. This one Sean covered also yesterday. IRAS also, so is there any outstanding property tax? PUB, any sewage and drainage issue? Okay. LTA again, so road line plan is the property affected by road widening and road reserve. Okay. Now, the results retrieved are from records that are already existing in all these departments. So to previous submission by former contractors, builders and developers. So however such search, as I mentioned before, such searches may not necessarily surface any unauthorized work simply because there were no records filed with the various departments at the time when such works were carried out, unless there were prior inspections made by BCA due to complaints made against the owner. So if they have done illegal work, they just keep quiet, and then no one will know. Even the searches will not surface unless say neighbor complain, red eye, why it's cantilever, it's like I don't like the shadow come into my house. Then complain, then checks, then this kind of records will be surfaced. Caveat on MTOR, buyer beware lah. Okay, so OTP clause 12, it says the property is sold as east-west basis subject to any restrictive covenants, easement, which shall within a full knowledge thereof. Okay, purchaser to deem to have noticed the actual condition, state and condition in regards to everything, the drain repair, okay, to the property thoroughly. Okay, but COS 10, just now we mentioned also, the vendor warrants that the property has got no unauthorized structure. But okay, and then 11 it says description of property, that due care has been done to present the property as close to the actual description as possible. So what this means what it means is that the buyer is deemed to be 100% aware of the state of the property. So buyers beware. Okay. So the implication is such that there's no warranty and defect liability period, especially for resale. Okay. For new launches the one separately, depends on how the contract is drafted. Okay. Some developers also don't give warranty, defect warranty. Okay. So okay, but over here it says if any error, misstatement or omission which is not material and does not considerably affect the value of the property is discovered in the contract, neither party will be entitled to annul and claim any compensation. So for example, we play a important role in this because we're the middleman. So we may, if our misrepresentation of a particular topic or particular feature of the house is very big, then we may be exposing ourselves to lawsuit. But however, if it's like minor things, then of course they cannot rescind the contract. Buyer cannot rescind the contract. Buyer cannot sue us also. One example, certain example is like if an old house where actually is very old already, and the built up does not really affect the value, because landed property, the main value is tagged to the land. Okay, if you're buying an old house to tear down and rebuild one, okay, the old structure doesn't necessarily add value to the property anymore. Okay, and then maybe it's supposed to be 3,000 square feet. You say it's 2008 built up. Sorry, you say it's 3,000 square feet built up, but actually it's 2,008 square feet. Okay, and the buyer says, hey, you quote me, I get a surveyor come and do a proper measurement. It's only 2,815 or whatever. You tell me it's 3,000. Cannot rescind the contract. I sue you. Cannot. So it doesn't really affect. Or difference in certain material. Hey, tell me it's marble counter, but it's granite. Such things doesn't really affect the value of property. So they cannot raise objections. Now LDA requirements, OTP 15. This one especially relevant for landed property because we consider restricted property. Okay, so OTP 15, it says, this one I think we all know, so bear in mind now that we're doing landed properties, this is very relevant because where the purchaser is not Singaporean, okay, purchase of the property shall, where applicable, be subject to obtaining approval from LDAU. Oh, this one you know, ah. So, okay. Foreigners are not eligible to purchase a landed property in Singapore. All right. So you see a German fella come and say, hey, I want to buy this house. First thing I ask, are you a PR? You know, I'm German. I fly in from July. I just want to buy today. Cannot. Basically cannot landed. Bring it by control. Okay. For PR, they will need to apply and obtain written approval from LDAU with conditions attached. Now, before I move on, one question. If a PR, okay, in Singapore for a few years, 10 years or so, wants to buy a landed property, the PR, say China PR, nowadays a lot. If I want to buy, I'll make an offer, I give you a check. Can OTP be issued? Yes? Some say no? No? Okay, the answer is yes. Why? Because the contract says if such approval is not obtained by the completion date. Meaning to say the developer or the seller can issue OTP so long as before the completion date, the onus is on the buyer, the PR, to produce the approval from LDAU. Okay? Otherwise, depending on how they draft, but most of the time is rescind the contract, the offer, then the check returned back. Okay? So actually, surprisingly, the answer is yes. We have done cases before. Actually, not from us, but we are competing against such case. PR, China PR wanted to buy, developer issued, but haven't obtained LDAU approval. But it went ahead, and then subsequently rejected, but appealed some more. Okay, so okay, but it's just that once OTP is issued, then the seller cannot receive another. Cannot take in another better offer lah. Because you give OTP to this fellow already, you have the right to wait. He has the right for you to reject, totally be rejected first before you can accept other better offer. So the conditions for LDA requirement. So what is considered foreign person under Residential Property Act? Okay, someone who is not. Not any of the following, not Singaporean, not Singapore company, Singapore Limited Liability Partnership, not Singapore Society. Cannot buy. A Singapore company, Limited Liability Partnership or Society issued, okay, with certificate of clearance certificate must ensure that clearance certificate applies to company, society and LP lah. Okay. If it's individual, no need this certificate of clearance. I think for company, all this need to be issued this. So it's other than attaining LDAU, they still got one more step. Okay, must be issued and must ensure that all directors, shareholders, members or partners and trustees are Singaporean citizens. So if the board director, this company, one of them is Anglo or foreigner, whatever, then LDAU they need to go and actually by right cannot. Okay, yeah. So they need to go and apply LDAU basically. Okay, what are the criteria for approval? Okay, case by case basis. Okay, should be a permanent residence. So the PR should be a permanent residence for at least 5 years. Okay, must make exceptional contribution to Singapore. Okay, so these are factors that you'll take into consideration LDAU before granting the approval. Okay, the types of property that they can buy, they'll be given approval to purchase. Vacant land also can, vacant residential land, but this one has one more condition attached later, I'll show you. Okay, they can buy terrace house, semi-D, bungalow detached, even GCB up to a certain size. Okay, strata landed house is, which is not those pure strata landed, not those condo, not type to condominium kind. Okay, not condominium status strata lah. Okay, shop houses for non-commercial use, residential shop houses. Commercial, no need. Okay, association premises, place of worship. Okay, workers' dormitory, service of common knowledge. Yeah, not registered under provisions of Hotels Act. Okay, now LDAU, this one, held by former. Okay, this one now because PR they have to every 5 years renew their PR status, so called. They have to reapply for this thing called re-entry permit every 5 years. Somehow, should they lose their renewal application, cannot rejected their PR status, then they have to sell their property within 2 years. Or Singapore citizens, they own this landed property and then they rescind their citizenship. I want to become a Malaysian. No one will. I want to become. No offense, Justin. So then, yeah, then they have to sell the property within 2 years. Okay, so PR has to apply REP, re-entry permit, every 5 years. Should he or she fail to obtain his re-entry permit and loses PR status, then this clause will apply. Okay, now LGU requirements. Okay, residential property purchase acquired by. Okay, so no one can is allowed to hold in trust, buy in trust a property for a foreigner or foreign entity. Okay, one cannot set up a trust, purchase landed property where the beneficiary is a foreign person or foreign entity. Okay, I'm very rich. My friend asked me, or my friend very rich foreigner asked me to buy on his behalf. I'm Singaporean. I don't own anything. I go and buy in trust. Cannot. Okay, are there restrictions to buying on the property that I can buy? Yes. Not exceeding, just not mentioned. GCB also can, but actually not exceeding 15,000. But you see here some PR buy and stay GCB. Okay, for those seeking to purchase beyond 50,000, then they can still apply. However, subjected to more stringent criteria and approval will be on case-by-case basis. They will look at maybe how loaded they are, how much contribution they have made to Singapore economy. What are conditions of approval? Okay, they solely for own occupation and cannot be rented out. Okay, cannot dispose of the property within 5 years from legal completion. Okay, or 5 years from TOT issued CSC or CSC issued. Okay, shall not subdivide the property without approval. Okay, can buy vacant land? Yes, but they have to finish the construction, everything within 3 years. Okay, within 3 years must finish everything, chop chop, then move. Okay, so these are the good practices. So, having touched on all the different clauses, so when it comes to our real practical work, okay, we need to make it a habit to have black and white records of information and verbal agreements between buyers and sellers, like WhatsApp and email. This is protect ourselves. Okay, in case of misrepresentation. Okay, other than our own due diligence and finding out necessary information with records to the house, we must also ensure marketing material reflect correctly. Especially, I put this as straight, especially land size. Okay, land size is very important. You're selling landed property, the main value of the property is tied to the land. Okay, that's why you see always PSF is always based on land for land. This is exceptionally important. The other thing I can think of, not put out here, is the status. 999 and freehold is still different. You cannot say 999 is freehold. You cannot say freehold. So, yeah, this one gotta be careful also. Okay, we're representing buyers. Make it a habit to ask for sample draft copy of seller's OTP for your buyer to look through first. Sometimes they may give it to their lawyer to vet through before they sign, before they really give the check. Okay, so yeah, because this is all the more necessary when OTP is drafted by seller's own lawyer instead of a standard real estate agency OTP like ours we just. Yeah, because sometimes their lawyer may add the clauses that is very lopsided, very pro vendor and not so pro purchaser. So especially if it's ours, usually agency OTP is quite fair, quite balanced, okay, for both parties. But when it's drafted by a lawyer, we gotta really make sure the buyer vet through first. Okay, cannot. I mean, it's not good it's just sign. Then they say, hey, actually I don't agree with this clause in OTP. How? Well, then you're jammed already. Then yeah, a bit problematic By then maybe most of the time this check is given already. Then will be a bit nightmarish Still can resolve, but yeah. Okay, good practices. Again, here we're presenting an offer. When presenting an offer, say even if you're listed yourself, you get a direct buyer. When you present offer, always couple it with the offer to purchase. With some of the couple it with offer to purchase with some of the following conditions. But okay, option fee 1% or 2% or 4% or 5%, whatever. Okay, option period, how many weeks to exercise, etc. Completion period, whether tenancy or whatever. Okay, offer is subject to my offer is subject to mutual agreement by both vendor and purchaser to all terms and conditions in OTP. Yeah, this is not pointed. This is if you can add it inside your OTP. Because you present an offer, you're giving just an offer to purchase. But chances are the buyer, purchaser have not seen the OTP. So it's good to add this. It basically subject to contract. Subject to, even for renters, sometimes we do that, subject to contract. Okay? It's good to add this, but fortunately it's not in our Hutton's OTP. You can amend it or write it in. This offer is subject to add into your offer to purchase. Subject to mutual agreement by both vendor and purchaser to all terms and conditions in the OTP. Like I said, because if the OTP is very skewed towards favoring the vendor, then the purchaser might not agree. Then he can take back his check. Okay, this one is very important. Okay, etc. Okay, what extra steps should a landed buyer agent take? Okay, ask for relevant information from seller's agent, whether HLD or ECB, especially ECB. Okay, before making an offer. Okay, like building plans in lease etc. I come across some agent, listing agent. They say, hey, you go and do your own in lease They don't even want to spend that $5 or whatever to get title search information. Yeah. So take initiative, okay, to check and provide buyers necessary information beforehand, before you present an offer especially. Okay, it's our job when we serve buyers. Okay, don't commit to any information, comment or statement which the buyer will rely on to make a decision. Okay, if you're not sure, don't anyhow commit. Okay, can build one more floor. Can. Don't anyhow commit. Okay, engage and refer to professionals, lawyers, bankers, QPs when we are not sure. Okay, use past examples from within the team. This is very useful. Ask . We are here, all helping each other. Ask. Okay? Don't know, just ask. Ask first. Free of charge. Okay? Unless you ask Willie, he may charge you per hourly. I'm just kidding. Busy man. Sean also, our in-house architect. Okay, examples of revision to come to the main thing are very important, interesting. So these are some examples to our OTP. Okay, where we make exceptions to A and A. Okay, ignore this one is nothing. Okay, with all fittings, etc. So sometimes in OTP we make amendments. Like for example, this is amended. Okay, the clause 8 just now mentioned about the A and A. Okay, the purchaser and subject are being unauthorized. That there are subject to there being no unauthorized additions, alterations or renovations made to the except for the attic storage room on level 3, which the purchaser will accept and indemnify the vendor against all future responsibility. Okay, then the rest is the same. If there are any other, if there are any, then the vendor shall obtain necessary approval, blah 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 blah. Okay, this is one modification to our, because that house, so doesn't mean the house got unauthorized means cannot proceed. Just now to answer your question. Yeah. So sometimes buyer accept. I like this one. So this is, I think, really transacted this deal. Then this is my deal. I transacted this. Same thing. Also, so happen is not always the case. So happen also on attic. So we modified this. Except for the attic of the property, the buyer really learned ethics. Stinge, it's a pitch roof, and then the attic got one more level, very steep pitch roof, very strange. So then got storage room also. Then he said, I want to keep the attic, but the rest I don't want. So he said, but the seller also very confident. Yes, my attic only illegal. The rest, okay. So, but this buyer very the what one? Anyway, long story. This is a nightmare case. But anyway, if there are any, so we put, so except for the attic, but if there are any other than the aforementioned attic, because the seller very confident, he said, no, there's nothing else. So the buyer make us write this one. If there are any, you sure? You sure? If there are any, then I can take action, rescind or whatever. So we protect. So we say, if there are any other than the aforementioned attic, then blah 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 blah. Okay, then the seller have to get proper documentation, QP, whatever, and check. Okay, so this is another example. Some more revisions. Okay, when both parties are agreeable to remove clause 8 completely from the OTP, but this one make sure both parties agree lah. You see this one, there's 8 here, but this is not the original clause 8. There's nothing about the unauthorized structure clause. The number jump of course we move 8, then this 9 become 8. So this missing. Okay? So sometimes we totally remove the clause. It's possible also. Okay? But both parties must agree. Okay? So different scenarios, there could be cases whereby exercise fee payment to vendors will be to vendors instead of CBY account. So these are certain examples where we can do our, because our OTP is very standard, apply to lender, apply to condo, apply to anything. So in case this is even for condo also have lah. But for this case is this one the buyer said I want the 4% to go to me instead of to the CBY account. Okay, because maybe amount is bigger, so they think that by accepting it, chances of it moving forward to completion is higher. Yeah. Okay. So rent-free stay is also possible. This one was drafted into the OTP itself. The vendor will be allowed to reside in the property without rent after completion. Okay, the utilities, prorated property tax in this period will be covered by a vendor. Okay, this is one way, but for me, I would prefer to this way, letter of undertaking. Okay, letter of undertaking. This one, I think they got a lawyer involved. It was lawyers will witness here. But I was also told by a lawyer that you can do it, that which we have done before, total close, because the buyer is quite common now. Because after selling, they like HDB also some they need extension of stay. Then they ask, is an agreement between seller and buyer. So it's their own private agreement. So we can do a letter of undertaking between them, and just between them without getting lawyer involved. Also can be done. But for this case, I think lawyer was involved, so it's drafted quite well. This clause is very good. This clause, the next example I show you don't have this. Actually, I should have added this. Okay, okay, it says that we shall, so this is from the vendor to the purchaser, that we shall indemnify and keep you indemnified against all costs, expenses, and losses or damage, including but not limited to your legal costs on a full indemnity basis, which you may suffer or incur as a result of a breach of any of the undertakings given to us. Okay? In case they rent and then they damage anything or this. Yeah. Which happened to my case. Stay already, then the water pump break down. We did include this. Then how? Daniel asked. Then how? But buyer very kind. Right? I'm going to stay this long term. This water pump, I shouldn't need one when I move you. Okay lah, half. Both agree. Mutual agreement. Yeah. Okay, it's good to add that clause that yeah. Okay, this is the one. You just put utility charges, cable, internet service, waste collection service. They take care. Okay? So this is another letter in there. But actually this one is rent back. So you can add. Just not the one is stay free. This one is rent back. So the vendor actually rent back for 3 more months with the still staying there. Yeah, rent back from the buyer. Yeah. Okay, non-standard OTP. Okay, this is developer. So it's very common also. Sometimes the seller, the vendor, they get their own lawyer to draft. Especially for landed affluent people, they have their lawyer friend. They many other things require lawyers. So sometimes they will say, I don't want your standard OTP, I want my lawyer to draft OTP. this is one example only, right? So happened that this one is the developers. The seller, the vendor is a developer, okay? So, you see, option fee is 5%, not the standard 1 plus 4 or 1 plus 9, okay? And then the purchase, the payment term is different, 10%, so total is about 15% down. I've come across 25% down payment also. Usually developers sale, okay? Then the payment terms are different, right? And then the examples, so the example of for non-standard OTP, they have this interestingly, interest unpaid, because this is still under construction, landed DUC. So we sold this, then they have this clause referred to 6.1, okay, they fail to pay, then got interest rate, all this. This one, this kind, is good to let the purchaser vet through themselves, get their lawyer to look through, because it's not so straightforward. Not so straightforward. Okay? And then see conditions blah 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 blah, blah of the COS shall not apply to the sale of this property. So the whole OTP, ours is only 4 pages. Theirs is 12 pages, 10 to 12 pages. Wow, cheap. Okay? So once again, not sure, get professionals, lawyers. Who is a professional in this? The lawyer, like the vendor's own convincing lawyer. Okay, so
Any question?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Can you go back to just now the part whereby you state the foreigner, the LDAU?
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
So if a foreigner cannot buy, set up a trust and everything, right?
Yeah.
What if the foreigner is a US citizen?
Cannot.
You still need, okay, US citizen
But
means
US
what?
citizen is considered to be a SC status, right?
No.
No.
US citizen, okay, the 5, what are the 5 countries that that we have, the 5 countries that we have,
exemption of ABSD.
Yeah.
what's the term, sorry? The 5 that we have,
There are 4 Nordic countries and US.
we have dealings with
Only
You-
exempt ABSD.
US,
doesn't mean they can buy land.
Yeah, you only-
Linus, Washington, Iceland, Norway,
Yeah.
US, and Switzerland.
Yes, these 5 countries. It means what? No, it means they don't need to pay ABSD. That means their first property, they're paying the same rate as Singaporean.
Yes.
Okay, but that means they can buy condo, they pay like Singaporean.
Yes.
But when it comes to landed, they're still foreign. They still have to be a PR first,
Okay.
and then more than 5 years, attain LDAU approval, then they can buy. And
Okay.
they buy same rate as Singaporean, as if it's first property, same rate.
Okay,
I
understand.
think it comes under 2 different acts. You see. One is the Stamp Duty Act, which is
Yeah.
where they are being exempted due to the trade agreement.
Trade agreement,
But
yeah,
this
that's
is because of in this scenario it is under the Residential Property Act, which
Yeah.
is
Nothing to do with that.
it is a different act altogether.
Yeah.
So different law.
Any question?
Yeah, but some
Yes.
In this case, the example provided, why would you still want to accept or rather issue the OTP?
Again, sorry.
Why would you want to issue the OTP if it's a PR without LDAU approval yet?
Why do you want to issue?
Because they may obtain the LDAU when they apply. Even though it's getting tougher and tougher. So like for example, okay, I give you an example, developers sales. Some developers, you offer the 1% check. Your exercise can be 6 months, no? So within 6 months, they can apply LDAU. Currently, I'm working on one. The developer very flexible because it's early stage of construction. And then the buyer really liked this place, but didn't go through like arrangement. But the developers straight away commit. You want exercise? I understand landed buyer, sometimes you may need to offload your current property first. You don't want to pay ABSD. You can offer first. I give you 6 months to exercise, or if you need longer can, because my my TOP completion is only like maybe 1 year later, or more than 1 year later. So it allows this kind of leeway.
So
Yeah.
to answer also Jamie's question, in a seller's market, do you think sellers will accept? Why do I
Lock
give you this
myself
lock,
in,
and then lock yourself
Lock
in
yourself in.
1 month, 2 months, and then after that I still have to refund you.
Yeah.
So good question, it depends on the market situation. I think the last 1.5 years, we rarely entertain. In a buyer's market, well, cannot say, take first. But sometimes, up to you. Private OTP is up for negotiations. I've done cases, I take 2%, right? Take 2%. If it's not approved, I keep 1%. Up to you. You must be flexible. If I were to do this, at least you want something. Also for agents to gain also, right? Because everything return, you get nothing. If I get 2%, after that refund 1%, I still have 0.5%. Why you go through all this hassle? Right? But more importantly, it's for the seller's sake. You're right, in today's market, nobody does this.
Chances are if it happens, the option fee cannot be 1%.
Higher.
Yeah. So if I reverse it, if you are serving a buyer, haven't got the approval yet, do you want to serve? Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Don't go and look around. After that, then subject to approval. Don't waste time. Ask them to get the approval first. We get this a lot. Please, Mr. Buyer, please go and apply first. Oh, but it costs $1,000. Please go and apply first, because no seller will entertain you at this point of time. Just go and do it first. Okay? Right? There's a lot of legal things. We try to give some examples. There's a lot more. But are there any things? Okay, I want to ask you for OTP. Very, very important. If you are the... I'm sharing this from if I were the buyer's agent, because I see a lot of buyer's agent with blur, don't know what to do. For example, OTP. Now you're a buyer's agent. Okay, you want to make an offer, you take a check. Okay, present to seller's agent. What's the first thing you must do? What's the must if you represent buyer? In lease. Sorry? In lease, yeah. There's one document I think Sri mentioned. You must have the offer to purchase. You must have HLD, please. Don't present an offer without offer to purchase. Because they anyhow, Hokkien Beng way, you also don't know. Then they check, they bank in, after that they can say whatever they want, especially when it comes to the OTP.
But
right?
they can straight away issue OTP, they can exchange.
Unless they can, but it won't be sure. Normally they want you to make an offer first. Right? Don't just present the check. Now, what's the practice a lot? Because market's moving fast, we want to waste time, don't waste time. We take a photo of the OTP. Photo can you don't need to get. It's a bit like non-landed as well, but I just want to tell you because of all these different terms, for landed ones, if you're a buyer's agent, when you put an offer to purchase, make sure your offer to purchase has a subject to OTP. Subject to OTP. Alright, you have to be more clear, subject to acceptance of all terms in OTP, failing which the offer will be rescinded. Alright, remind me later I can put inside. If you represent buyer, very important. Because otherwise you take a check already, you go back, then your offer, the OTP comes out not satisfactory, don't know what pattern will come out. Then, but your buyer's check is already in the seller's hands.
This one, how?
Yeah. Alright, very important.
Yeah.
Very important. And communication, if you're a buyer, it's more from a buyer's perspective. I just had a almost dispute yesterday with an agent, case closed already, but thankfully I covered because this one was, I think you mentioned ethic. There's an ethic. So again, remind me later, I got the break time, I send it to you. Thankfully, before that, I say your offer, I say got this thing, and I even mentioned this clause will be added. I say you choose either or. You either I strike out, okay, I strike out, I seal the attic. Okay, there's an attic, but this attic is just a door, it's very simple. But imagine behind this is the third floor. Behind this is a slope roof. Okay, then there's a door. Very simple. So you open, there's open sesame, very big. But it's huge. That attic is, I think, about half of this space. Right? So buyer already knows. Buyer already knows there's this thing. And during the viewing, I'll ask you out. You want this or you want? During the option, that's where, as a seller's agent, you're very careful. Now we declare, there's this, I even have photos there, because there's a 3D tour, nothing to hide. My mental pop went inside also. Nothing to hide. They cannot claim that they feign ignorance about this. So there is this thing, you already know. So you have two options. Either I strike out clause A, or strike out clause weak. Now that means that sellers have nothing to declare, but I will seal this door off. Or, and or, alright? Or, sorry, not and, or. Or I will keep this door, and then I'll write the exception. What's the example? I can't remember. I think I type here. So you keep this one. So they chose option 2, right? Which is keep the door, option A plus exception.
Is it this one?
Oh yeah. I did. Because this is very recent. This one, yeah. Oh, this one. This example. It's good. I can highlight to this as well. So now seller, buyer accept. Of course, seller accept. Sign ID. Now go to the lawyer. Buyer's lawyer make noise. What is this? Cannot. Everything cannot. Be careful of lawyers. They are not there a lot
Yeah.
of times. All have experience.
Yeah.
They're there to jeopardize you.
Deal
They're there to
busters.
bust the deals.
Most headache one.
They just want to protect. Already, yesterday I was busy. Wow, a lot, like 5 missed calls. Just doing this call. After that, after lunch, I called. Hey, what's there to worry about this thing? You know what? I just seal it out for you. That's it. You know what's the worry? Oh, this one is illegal. I say hello. This tactic has been there for 20 years. Your buyer like it. So has your seller. So now very strange because this buyer's agent recommended the lawyer. So this lawyer don't talk to the client, talk to the agent.
Yeah.
You understand? What is this? I say, now your client, we are not the client of the lawyer. The client is the buyer. I just reply, has the lawyer talked to the buyer? Haven't. Then what you panic for what? Panic so much for what? You get to talk to the buyer first. Buyer already accepted. A lot of buyer confused about this. I screenshot everything, communication, OTP, offer, make sure black and white. Just make sure it's black and white. Do you know offer from offer via text constitutes an offer?
Yes.
You know what? So some people send picture of the check now, issue this thing, after that they withdraw. Not withdraw. When we give it happens once. Give the OTP, we don't want. Now we cannot. Once I issue the OTP after the offer gives, offer is accepted. We can sue you one.
Yeah.
But can you give the offer with the text and check and then withdraw before the OTP?
Check and then withdraw.
I give an offer, check, these are my terms. By the way, when you give offer terms, make sure your option period, everything. Don't just say I offer 3 million or 4 million, for example. Always put in the option to purchase, 2 weeks and whatever, right? 2 weeks completion, all this, just put it down. So let's say I issue to a seller's agent. Then buyer change their mind because they actually are testing. A lot of people do this because they're testing the market, right? So those kind of verbal offers I don't entertain. All right, you want, you give me a check. Give me a check. I don't need to collect, give me a check. Otherwise, verbal offer, because then in the absence of consideration, is disputable. Not that cannot. Actually, by right, you just state my offer is this, is okay. But if a check is non-disputable, confirm is offer. So my question is, if I offer it, then buyer say, hey, I don't want to test this, I want to test house 2. This house A. Right? Now I test house B. Or can you issue two offers, A and B at the same time?
Yes.
You don't know, some buyer's agent do this. They test everything they test. You know, everyone is offer. It's offer. If both accept, that's it.
It's a genuine offer,
Yeah.
no?
Huh?
It's a genuine
No,
offer.
some they test, then the buyer don't know. Then the buyer's agent also don't know. Test let's test. This one I try both houses for 5 million. This one I test 4.8, this one I test 4.8. If both accepted, this buyer has to buy both houses.
Yeah.
No, he just don't agree with the terms and conditions in the OTP.
No, because that's why you see the offer wasn't complete. The offer didn't say subject to OTP.
You can
Right?
get
If I
sued
give
for
you
it.
a standard OTP, there's nothing you can fight. You understand? Right? So now because people, especially today's climate, people very kanchong. Everything offer, try here, try there, kind of stuff. So that's on the buyer side. You as a seller's agent, you must do your job. Right? Of course, if you represent buyer, that's what I want to tell you. You want templates, all this, just get from us. Right? How do you, even in the text, that kind of stuff, how do you? Okay? There's a lot of, we have what, how many 200 plus closings. Of course, if everything goes through smoothly, that's sweet lah. Everything is using Hutton, OTP is okay. Developers, one that you saw, wow, super pattern, a lot of, even we also don't know, what is this? You ask the developer also don't know. Because it's drafted by the lawyer.
Yeah.
It's drafted by the lawyer. You never know, right? Right? We highlight this because this is a high quantum, landed versus non-landed. Non-landed condo, okay, everything needs to you. Landed, central region, hands up. Central region, a lot. I told you already, they have their own lawyers. A lot of time, my family lawyer sending OTP. Said, we have our own OTP. What's going? Your family lawyer got special OTP one. All right, so that is different case. Some don't even put the commission inside. One thing that's important here, commission put it inside.
Yes.
Okay. If not, then you chase C agreement. Later we mention something about practice. Now you know for Hutton submission, if you have inside the what do you call this? If the commission is inside the OTP, then you don't need the C agreement. Okay, but make sure this is inside. Otherwise, it's very difficult to take money back. I'm now suing a developer. In all my closings, I've never been denied a payment. So this developer, when they say don't put inside, you red light already.
Yeah.
Okay, red light. So that one, for some reason, long story, 3 years already in this case, didn't put the commission inside, 60 plus thousand. Then what happens after that? Run away, cannot find, fake address, developer. one-time developer. So and I have the CA agreement, but it's not inside. So I didn't get the payment from the lawyer. So now change on. Yeah, change Sue, don't know what. Just we change the lawyer or whatever, and then got ECB involved. So we all change.
It's inside our.
Yeah,
so
very
don't take out when they ask you.
Don't do funny things. Oh, I don't want to let my co-bro agent know what's my condition. Therefore, I don't know. What kind of thing, please? Let's all be mature and grow up. All right. So if you tell your co-bro agent you're getting 2%, just say I'm getting 2%. Don't need to ask. There's still people don't put inside. Then after that, then they fill in. For example, there's one case I caught myself. That one, sorry, not landed. Okay, didn't put inside. Then you see, you don't put inside. Oh, I haven't decided. Give me 0.5 lah, for example. Right. Then how I find out eventually. I know the lawyer, I recommended the buyer's lawyer. When exercise, I get a copy of it. I get a copy of it, and they have to fill up. You understand? After I realized, 2%, hey bro, you tell me it's 1%, how come it's 2%? You get me? Because they try to play punk, for example, things like that. Okay? If you can, try to recommend your lawyer. Sorry.
One thing about LDA, I think the slide was missing is no PR when given approval to buy can own 2 properties. That means they can't buy another one. If they get approval to buy another one, say they initially buy a terrace, they want to upgrade to a detached or whatever. The slide was missing. So I'll edit in inside. Yeah, they must dispose of the current one. Then at any one time they can only own 1 property. Bear in mind. So PR cannot come and flip landed in Singapore.
Okay. Yes.
Sorry. So just now the one about you say put in the offer to purchase, right? But before the OTP is out.
Yes.
So, but it's considered an offer.
It's considered an offer, yeah. But the thing is, CC offer, you represent buyer. It may be unfair, see? So yeah, seller accept offer, but your OTP got all the funny terms that are not good for the buyer. So you must say any offer, if possible, write the offer to purchase. I always write the offer to purchase, you represent buyer, right? Because also make sure that the buyer commits, and then my name is there and all this kind of thing, because all the terms will be there. And our standard offer to purchase got the contract subject to the terms.
Don't have it.
Don't have? I use the old one.
Yeah. Our new one don't have. So remember to add inside.
Remember to add the one inside. That one we learn from actual cases and all this as well. So which means is like even if your OTP comes back, I don't agree, you have to refund me, even the 1% have to be refunded. Okay? So when you represent buyer, have to be a bit more careful. Yes.
So offer to purchase come with the offer to purchase, right?
Offer to purchase, yes.
Buyer tax, like if the check is already considered an offer.
No, even when you tax, it's considered an offer already.
Okay.
Even if you tax, so I'm saying, if you tax without a check, it's already an offer. But can be disputed because there's no check whatsoever, but because there's a consideration, right? So, but then with a check, it's confirmed an offer. It's still an offer. You cannot try. You want those kind of sound out one, you better just call. Just call. Don't tax. Or you can tax. Or is it possible to close at this price? This is not an offer. It's okay. An offer, then you have to state all these things down.
Question: Can they add this inside text instead of a black and white can, right?
In the text, yes. Inside the text, black and white.
Yeah, inside the text.
Message,
you say in the essence of time, sometimes 12 a.m.
Sometimes cannot run to get the
12 a.m. Then you get a what? Then you include this in the text. But once again, asterisk, the asterisk very important. I just checked, not in our.
It's not inside, okay.
Not in our
offer.
Oh, sorry, not in our offer to purchase, not OTP.
Offer, also
not in offer error. This one, beg the pardon.
Offer to purchase.
It's not in our offer to purchase.
It's important.
Add it in. Can write, no worries, can write one. Make sure your handwriting is legible. Yeah.
Okay? Yes.
Okay, just now there's a slide saying that the clause certain will not be applicable and so on.
That's for developer.
Yeah.
That's a developer option.
They insist they don't want all this.
Oh, okay. So that's the example, right? So usually sometimes in a not developer case also, there's certain thing like clause 10.1.
Yes.
Which
yes.
Sometimes there's a problem with purchaser accepting that.
Yes.
It says that vendor has not carried out any unauthorized activity. Right?
That is the same as this one, but they added. So you remove the clause 8. You remove this entire clause. So the case is like that. Remove the entire.
You still need
clause 8.
10.1.
Yeah, it's good to also include
that line.
Conditions of 10.1 doesn't apply because COS 10.1 also talk about same thing. talks about the unauthorized warrant, the vendor warrants the purchaser.
How do we specify, I mean, explain to buyer that that's okay? That, I mean, there's another term to it inside.
Okay, legal terms aside, key thing is you must make the client understand first. Hey, this one, no, I'm not. Are you okay or not? That's the most important. This part, we are talking about the communication, like what you said. Sometimes we just delete this, but to be safe, we learn this from lawyer also. Best to write in the 10.1 there also, to be safe.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, to be honest, all my transactions, I just delete this one in the past until I learn about that. That means the other buyer's lawyer don't dispute, right? So, but you're asking about how to convince the buyer, that's a different thing. That's about whether the buyer knows what. Normally, very simple rule of thumb. If the buyer likes the unauthorized stuff, if they like it, normally they'll accept it.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if they like it, covering up the kitchen.
That's why,
Yeah.
when both parties are agreeable to remove.
Normally, it's all this
Yeah.
unauthorized stuff is something that the buyer likes. And we represent sellers a lot of times. Like, wow, all this unauthorized. You know what? My stuff. You know what? I remove lah. You know everything I remove very simple. Actually, it costs a lot lah. To be honest. You know I remove lah. I can remove everything. You know what? Then yeah, actually I like the kitchen. I like extension. You know the balcony, the top wall, this kind of thing. I like, except for of course structural things. There I'm a bit more careful, right? But that one is very expensive to remove. There is a air well there they cover it, for example, right? So you declare. As a seller's agent, you just declare as much as you can. That's all my stuff. Don't try to hide any certain things unless you don't know. Unless actually most of the time conflict is, I get wrong information from sellers. Don't have. Or then I get the thing, then then you realize actually got their illegal stuff because some things they thought can be done, actually it's not. Okay.
Just to answer your question further, why include the 10.1, right? Because that 10.1 it says the vendor represents and warrants the purchaser.
So it contradicts.
Yeah, so if you don't, because clause 2 talks about this contract subject to COS. This is part of COS.
So it contradicts.
So it contradicts if you don't add. So it's, if you want to take up clause 8, then also mention that clause 10.1 of the COS does not apply.
So this depends on
then it doesn't contradict.
Depends on the buyer's agent. If the buyer's agent is very stringent, I can argue about clause 8 not there, how about 10.1? But a lot of the buyer's agent I saw all cover one, both parties okay, then they okay.
Because willing buyer, willing seller.
That means both are okay with it, then they just. But if disputed in future, hopefully better not. You know the importance of that, right? It's 5 years. 5 years, they can change their mind 1 year later, rescind the whole thing. I bought 5 million, 5 years later, within the next 5 years, I can rescind. Right? So one question is, how do the authorities know whether there's unauthorized? During the conveyance, will people go and check? Won't, don't think that this, because there's this 8 parties, right? So they think, wow, people will go, PUB will come, BC will come and check. They won't check.
It's not checking records only.
Yeah, they check their records. They won't be so free to come and check. Some people still think they'll come and check. Then they're very scared. Yes?
Sorry, can you repeat about the 5 years? I missed that.
Sorry,
Something
5
you
years?
mentioned
No,
about 5 years.
the law states that if, for this one, means let's say you buy unauthorized, right? You have 5, let's say I buy already. You didn't declare. As a buyer, I have 5 years. Let's say I discover the 3rd year. I can go back to the seller and claim any damages. Claim damages is one. Okay, most, they won't be seen. I already stay there for 3 years already. How can I do that? But I can go there and, oh, sorry, actually this awning is not approved. You have to remove.
Which part stated 5 years?
Sorry?
Which
It's not covered here. It's in the, I think, condition of sales? No.
Uh,
Some law, sorry.
this
Yeah,
is
not
this
law.
is we hear from lawyer.
Yes,
Lawyers
yeah.
are
There's some other law, statutory law or something like that with regards to this one. A bit like the bankruptcy thing, that one also 5 years. Easy to remember. So you have to, as a seller's agent, again, to have seller's agent, you better declare what does this mean. As a seller, you don't declare, they will come back, you cannot sleep for 5 years. You better tell me first. You better tell them first. But most sellers, what they tell you, yeah, but I buy already like that. They will tell you, I buy already like that, why should I declare now? Right? So what do you do? Do you do this at the end during the negotiation OTP? No, you should find this out at the beginning already. When you get the listing, find out already, right? Remember like yesterday we said all these things. Find out, oh, what about this? I've done one case, no manhole, it's cement scrape pour over.
Oh my God.
You know, no manhole, they say you talk about waffle, right? It's like human body with no neighbor. I was like, where did all that go? Everything was
no neighbor.
Yeah. No belly buttons.
Yeah.
I cannot find it because it's concrete screen already. But the buyer, the current owner, bought this from the previous owner. I say, hey, this doesn't mean that you are, because there must be, what if it's flooding and stuff like that. So they just pour, the contractor just pour the complete suite, whole, what do you call this, the wet kitchen. Yeah, so you can't find the thing at all. So doesn't mean you buy like that means you're okay, no, because that was that transaction. So my first question, was it 5 years already? Was it 5 years already? I said, no, that one was more than 5 years. Within 5 years, you can still go back to the owner, the previous seller, so to speak. So, but then the one, what happens then, you have to declare, then where's the hole and stuff like that. So when find contractor, we use laser. First laser can find the whatever, then you have to open up. You have to open up first.
X-ray.
Yeah.
Oh, just to add on the checks thing, the PUB government representative won't come and check, but then my bank valuers will come physically. Sometimes bank valuers will raise alarm.
Some bank yes.
Sorry, you have a question?
Yes.
Before that question, just now, this thing can claim within 5 years if the 10.1 is not excluded. If 10.1 is excluded,
then no.
Can they still claim? No, right?
No, yeah.
Okay. Just now we talk about the granting OTP to PR waiting for LDAU
Yes.
with high level of uncertainty.
Yes.
So a lot of sellers don't want.
Yes.
Okay, but what about another case whereby it has a better level of certainty? For example, a foreigner
Yes.
already granted in principle approval of citizenship.
Okay.
Say 1st December sworn in.
Yeah, it's up to the seller.
Yeah.
So allowed to issue OTP?
Can. Actually, even if just now the non-favorable condition, you can still issue. You can still, but it's just that what's the need for you? Why you give yourself, why you hold yourself, from closing another buyer?
Sorry, you're representing buyer or representing seller?
Just saying.
Let's say seller.
Seller.
Yeah, it's
Are
up
we
to.
allowed to issue?
Of course,
to this foreigner?
they still can.
You
Even
can ask
just
for
now
in
the case.
principle approval. They would have in principle
Yeah,
approval.
definitely.
Yeah.
Even don't have, you can still issue. Doesn't mean that you cannot issue. It's just that why do you want to be tied to a clause which is not beneficial to you at all? You get me? Yeah. The last time only time I did it was I do it. We know that, but then it was very short, 1 month only. Right? It was 1 month only. That means waiting for only 1 month.
Yeah.
Right. So one case I've done was I think instead of 2%, we will have 1% back. Another case was anyway, sorry, the house cannot move on. So get something, at least you can tell people that I have an offer. I just want to have an offer to show the next buyer that I have an offer. So whether it goes through bonus, don't go through, then too bad.
At least
When the
something to
market
show.
is very bad, when the market is very, very bad, for example, bad as in for sellers.
In
Right.
such case, in the OTP, we just vary a bit for the workers, right?
Yes, yeah. Okay. So this part, let's simply say, is important because that's one of the things I told you. Land agents, they're not do landed. One of the things is this, but nothing to be worried about. The more you do, just anything legal, not sure, just be clear. But those things that I mentioned just now, those is grey area one. The practice of passing check on this one nobody will tell you, right? The subject to OT, one mistake, then that's it. Because then anything
Implications
wrong,
very big, yeah.
the client will come back to you. And we are talking about multi-million. Even 1% 5 million is 50,000. It's not 400,000 flat. So that is where you have to be very careful. Any exchange of money, be very careful because your best client can just tell, sorry, I lose 1%, I want to claim back from you. Then that's it. Our professional identity was not enough. Yeah. Okay.
Last question.
Yes. Can.
Okay. For the rent back,
Yes.
is it subjected to a minimum period of 3 months?
No.
Like
Open to negotiation.
Like I said, it's an agreement between the vendor and purchaser.
Yeah.
So it's a private agreement between them. So the recent case that we did, the lawyer didn't even want to get involved. I called the lawyer, hey, we need this. The lawyer pushed back to me, your draft document, 1 page will do. With this one, it's between them, you can settle among themselves.
Yeah.
So it's different.
Usually, if it's before completion, you put it inside the OTP. If it's after completion, then yes, then there's an issue. You want to rent back, right? Then URA will come. How come you only rent back 1 month? You should buy right minimum 3 months. Then when it's minimum 3 months, you must have a tenancy agreement. But this one we normally try not to do. 自己的家, we can do a tenancy agreement, right? But anything more than 3 months, then yes, you have to. Otherwise, URA will come. How come you avoid your stamp duty?
So that one not subjected to stamp
If it's within the OTP, best is within that, then okay lah. Then normally less than 3 months. But is it getting longer? 3 months, 6 months? Yes, that's a lot. Then just go for a TA. Just do a TA after that.
If the unit is vacant, anyone ask for advance,
Early
rent
takeover.
take, yeah.
Early takeover, yeah.
For
Rental
renovation.
guarantee.
Oh, okay.
We do a lot that now. Developer units, empty units, a lot. So draft the letter of indemnity, take over the property tax, all this take regularly, right? So normally I leave this to the lawyer, but if this is a point of contention before they will sign the OTP, we provide first with some templates. This one is between the buyer and the seller. They're happy with it, sign, okay, stop, then submit together the OTP.
Totally private on this side.
Yeah. Okay? Alright, if not we end here. I think it's almost 1.5 hours. Yes, yes,
One last question.
yes,
So about the rental thing, right?
yes.
But if it's free of charge and it's more than 3 months, it's okay, right? This one.
Free of charge, then no, yeah. That one is only for chargeable. Free of charge, obviously you don't need a TA. If you represent seller, it's okay. But if you represent buyer, the risk is the longer the stay, the higher the risk.
But still must draft a letter of indemnity. No need TA, but still must draft a letter of
indemnity. Yes.
Yeah.
Because you see, the buyer will you indemnify the if you don't have that, then what? 3 months. Okay, now you see though. Firstly, as basically in Singapore, I challenge you as buyers, there's a lot of risk because I need to wait for 3 months. As it is if you're paying a premium, especially renovated units, right? So now a lot of people go for renovated. Wow, this one nice, a million or whatever kind. 3 months, what you meant, but 9 months later, your millet can spoil, your rohe can spoil, all these kind of things. But you're actually paying a premium for all this kind of things. So the longer it is, the more risky is it for buyers. Sellers, okay, you're still staying there. But the seller will just like, so I see this one, I didn't promise you in working condition, you know, yeah, this kind of thing. But the thing is, people are paying a premium because everything's working, right? And then there are things like stains, that wear and tear, all this that will be a lot more.
Yeah.
Right? Trees,
That's why this is very good.
yeah,
This
very important.
indemnity,
Because there are a lot of things. There are clients who after selling, the gardeners stop coming. Okay? Then the
Becomes
tree
jungle.
lies all over the place, right? Because I
Overgrown.
didn't promise that one, right? Pool if they're using they will lah, but pond, normally gardener lah, getting pond they will they're using, for example. Auto gate control, they stop. They can cut costs, they cut costs.
Yeah.
Right? Just because not my pasar, if the gate doesn't work, I don't care. You take it as it is. You know.
Yeah, the gate happens to, sorry.
Individually, like what is taken care of?
No, because it doesn't. In our OTP we don't.
Or just like,
Yeah, even 3 months, let's say some sellers really, wow, servicing my house, I got 10 aircons. Maybe cost me about $800 to service everything. Then they stop servicing it. If they save 800, they save 800. Right? Is it can the buyer goes, no one, you take it as it is. Our OTP is actually quite loose, a lot of things we don't put it. The as it is is a very big black hole. Very big black hole. It's just like our tenancy agreement, what's that? What's the word which I hate? What's that? What's the word I'll use? Anyway, not related to this. Fair wear and tear. Oh my gosh, the biggest hole in the whole world, right? Fair wear and tear. What is fair? Then argue that one. The equivalent in the OTP is an as it is condition.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of that as it is.
But you
So
can't
some buyer
possibly-
can't.
you can't possibly plug every hole lah.
Yeah.
So,
Last time it's a bit better. Last time a lot of the older houses they actually get sold faster because of they prefer to renovate. Okay. Last 1.5 years, a lot of people buy renovated ones. Renovated, they are paying 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 above valuation. But then as a buyer's agent, they don't take what you call this, or the buyers forget they didn't take pictures like just what you do for tenancy. They don't, they just assume everything's working. Actually realize, oh, you see all this spoiled. That one's spoiled. Actually, a lot of things are spoiled. Those kind of steamer lah, whatever, all look very nice, but actually all spoiled.
Mila, one screw $6.
A lot of things. Because the house so big, you can't possibly do an inspection like you do for tenancy. Right?
Things change, like chandeliers change.
Yeah, a lot of things in a house can be not working. Like wardrobe. For example, a standard. We are not supposed to open the wardrobe. Not nice. The wardrobe inside the things screw loose lah, whatever. Things like that. So.
But the buyer is supposed to buy it as is condition.
Yes, correct.
The seller don't have to bother.
Seller don't have to. That's why I say if you represent seller, you have to be careful lah. Yeah, you have to be careful because there's a lot of things to check.
Because once
Yeah.
the seller move out, the
Yes.
condition of the place
Yes.
is totally different
Exactly.
from
Yes.
actually.
Yeah. Because now the trend is towards renovated units. So the buyer just I don't renovate. I'm going to pay this premium. Last time different. Anyway, I'm going to hack. Doesn't matter. I'm going to change this, change that. Now, if they're paying for that, then be careful.
As a seller,
Actually, it's not our job. You take it as it is as a buyer's agent, but they will come and blame you. Hey, how come you didn't ask me to look out for this? You didn't ask me to look out for that.
as
And
a buyer agent, do you ask for inspection, and then during inspection?
I would, yes, I would. So if I am a buyer's agent for renovated units, I would before handover just to check.
But what if it's not okay?
Sorry?
It's still not okay.
Then you have to put it in the offer to purchase. You must put it in the offer to purchase. Very important, right? If I represent buyer, I'll put offer to purchase. I'll put in renovation. I need minimum 2 more times a renovation visit. All this I must put down. Otherwise, you get into trouble. If they say no, you cannot come and see. Right? So offer to purchase is very important if you're a buyer's agent. Right? Yes. One last question. We have to move
Yes,
on. Yes.
on this. So this letter is a separate copy.
Separate agreement, yes.
Where in the OTP we insert to point that as assistance of this letter?
Oh no, when it comes to letter indemnity, letter undertaking is separate from OTP already. So it's like I said, it's an agreement between the buyer and seller. So okay, but for this case, yeah, this case because they want lawyer to, then is OTP all this sign already. Then subsequently, timing it can varies lah. But letter indemnity, letter undertaking can be separately. That means outside of the OTP itself.
It can also be inside, like appendix, refer to appendix.
Yeah.
OTP, we just sign, move on. We don't want to complicate with another
Yeah, because
document.
if
Sign,
it
close the case. So
yeah.
we
The more
usually
things, the
put it
more
outside.
complicated.
Yeah. If I'm a demanding seller, or in this case, this is very important. For example, I would demand this to be as part of the OTP, right? Like, okay, just close and move on as long as you have the, because this one quite standard. Yeah, pretty standard. Okay, clear? Okay, I think it's time for a break. Let's take a 5 minutes break while we tidy up the things, and the next one will be a website. Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Ah, you want, okay, wait. Sorry, you said something.
Just share with you a quick one on the OTP.
Hey, guys, one more thing. Sorry, Jason has something to share.
Go to the OTP form.
Oh, our.
Sorry, a quick one just to share. Okay, listen. Okay, realize our OTP, I just cannot caught. You realize actually our OTP, we have this witness signature. So actually, in fact, we don't need this. You actually witness for the rest. Or if let's say you have this, make sure you cross it off. Because that day I got one OTP, I submitted, I actually signed this, they signed, then I signed here. I forget to strike off. So I submit. So during the buyer exercise, then the other buyer, the lawyer said, hey, how come you only represent them? Who represent this one? I said, I represent both. He said, no, you have to strike. So he called me, I got to rush to the lawyer office just to sign this.
Or strike off.
Or they can't strike off already because you already there to exercise. So the lawyer said, you must sign. They cannot strike off.
They just sign for 2 or 2.
So it's either you sign 2 or you strike off, or another way, because ours is a PDF, there's a PDF and Word format. Just remove first.
So if there's only one seller, you strike off both the other side.
Yeah, you actually, okay,
You can sign for both.
you can either sign for both or you strike off.
So his question is, if there's only one vendor, then this one how?
Yeah, then the right side one, all I strike off.
No need, just keep it.
No, just leave it. Just
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
just
okay.
leave it.
Actually,
It's just
this
that you
case-
have 2 names lah.
Okay, I
It's just
understand.
have 2 names lah.
In this case, the lawyer is very quiet.
They're being
The
anal
lawyer can
lah.
just strike
Yeah.
off and full stop. Just
Yeah,
make
some
it private.
But I
lawyer-
think for this case, you see, it's not the lawyer, it's the banker. The lawyer said it's the banker. They push So they call me, I must go there.
Very anal lah, very anal.
Yeah, lawyers are being anal.
Yeah, so just take note this one. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, we
Thank
take
you.
a 5-10 minutes break. Then we come back, we have 2 more parts. Later is the website here, second part.
do the renewal only.
What?
Renewal. Wah, I mean, it happens.
Already done.
Just send out to me.
Huh?
Just send out to me.
Not today.
Yeah. All the
Shouldn't be different. Yeah, not now. But shouldn't be AEAS, oh, that one is CEA site. SCEAS, that one is not, but that one is not. That one is the SCEA website. Yeah. Actually, this year quite late. Last year very early because of the
yeah, I can just send through the link and nothing very no, you know it's right, you talk already, you know last year lockdown because of the so-called financing. Because of the slow, then even he was like what this year this year you haven't seen you? Huh? Okay.
At least now.
Tanya, that's why the secretary is not from Ayo. Yours is even fun. Yeah. That's why I said because it's company, the next company is because my profession is engineer, so I think it's still almost 6 years. Monthly. No, I mean 5 years salary. Sorry, 5 years salary. We did close a few cases, but then maybe I call him. Did you call James or not? Oh, but feeling again a lot of things, man. But feeling a lot of things. You want to know all your transactions, all these, all that. It's renewal lah. Yeah, all your commissions, all these things. Yeah. So that means very lucky in your heart, then you print out your screenshot like that. Because every year when you declare what, how much you earn, no, excess is still not
when I want to do the talking sound, then suddenly I see your that time simply says because you don't know what you do, then you don't know why they
that's a great idea. Register last night.
now very fast. You sign.
The first time we watch our better do watch it from the rest of the first time we watch 你们挑水位，
Very much.
I compress it.
I told you.
Now I can tell you, nowadays agents like to sweet talk.
I cannot come and sweet talk.
No, we are not. That's why I tell you what.
Because it's mask,
No. You have that look. That fresh look. How many t-shirts you have? Monday to Friday.
wash, I call.
She want to wear the pose here, then she go like that. No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay, right? Yeah. And then especially like if you're doing runs, it's okay, and then it would be nice to wear. You don't have to
Like walk around like when what are you doing?
So let's say now, even that thing I pretend, I just walk around, then people say, what are you doing like that? Yeah, they talk to me,
Yeah, if you walk around, yeah, it's a good occasion.
Okay.
Yeah, because it happens, the day I went for viewing, then this lady, right, I was walking to the house, then this lady was opposite me. So I didn't really notice, I didn't bother because I don't want to disturb them. Then he walked past and see my t-shirt, then, oh yeah, then after that, she started to ask me, you are here to view houses? Yeah, you want to see? Then it happens, she's not resident there, she just walked around to visit a friend. And after that, she said she want to buy. Something like that, because
you just come out, even you go for a walk, jogging, walk, you wear also, right?
No, I think joking, I don't wear.
I want to join
It's our friend.
so that I have a brand. Not long ago, I joined Sandy and the reason why I still have the t-shirt.
Okay, get ready to start. Get ready. Cable in already. While waiting for the setup, any questions so far? We have two more topics. One is the website where you will log in for your first time. Coming out already. So those who didn't attend, unfortunately, they can't log in yet because I don't want to create confusion. So we'll do about 45 minutes on the website, half an hour on the last part. Go to the screen. What the color like that? Soft display. Yeah, okay. Okay, with this I'll invite Justin.
Thank you. Before I start, put down all your phone, please. Okay, look at me. Stretch your hand out.
Demanding.
Okay, then crunch a little bit. Okay, because now you have heard a lot of theories and a lot of law, a lot of So your brain will have actually dried up. So system, as long as your finger you can use. So I want you to don't use your fingers now. Let's start. HLD website. The topics that I'm going to cover today is all this. It's quite a lot. Okay, I'm not going to do. I will do a brief go through like how to use the system. But actually, I have another idea where I want you to think like how to make the system work for you, rather than work for the system. So how we started. Do you guys want to know how do we do before we use system? Can you imagine how do we use? How do we keep track of all these fact sheets? How do we do all these transactions and all that? Manual, yeah. You know what we do? We buy A4 paper, we write it down. Yeah, if we have a fact sheet, we use A4 paper, we draw. Just joking. Not to the extent, Not to the extent. Okay, it's actually Dropbox. Any one of you know Dropbox? You guys use Dropbox, right? Okay, Dropbox era. You see, this is how we do. Dropbox is actually a folder, kind of like a system. We create folders after folders, and just go in, drill in. You can drill in. Then we actually separated what type of house, and the houses that you can see on my right hand side. So how do we do fact sheets? These are the fact sheets that we do. Okay, a bit blur. Sorry, a bit blur. This is the fact sheet that we do. We use all those apps, free apps. Collage and all that we use. But the thing is, when we use collage to do, right, we have, 20 of us here, we have our own preference in terms of the font, in terms of color and all those. So it becomes the fact sheet very different. When you want to send to your client, they are all different and looks not standardized. It doesn't look nice to us on us. And especially for soap transaction, we have to do one by one. So imagine how tedious it is. So transactions, all our fact sheets is very, very manual. I bet you don't want to go to that Dropbox era that we have experienced before. And hence, actually we have been doing this for about 4 years. 4 years, imagine we are doing this for 4 years for Dropbox. After that we come and say, okay, why not put in some money, invest a little bit on the system so that we can empower all especially we want all of us to close more. So this is what happens, the transformation, Dropbox and to here. Dropbox is very inflexible, right? Because when you want to do a fact sheet, you download it. After that, you want to change certain numbers. The prices are all crazy now. It can change overnight. Today is 8 million, tomorrow maybe 8.5. So if you keep change pricing, which we hate a lot, because we need to go back and redo the fact sheet again using the apps. Very inflexible, time consuming and slow turnover. When you want to update certain thing, right? It takes so much time to do it. So with the system version 3.5, this version, to be honest, is a sneak preview to you all, because even the batch, the existing, they even don't know the latest features that we have now. 3.5 is not finalized yet, we are still upgrading. So we have been like starting from 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. For the past 2 years, we have been like improvising the system so that it makes how to put it, you get the new features, so that it helps you all actually to be more functional. So this one, with this website, right, is more organized, standardized. Later you will see more. Flexible, because anytime you can actually log in, anytime you can download, and you can choose to download what you want. Accessible, efficient, later you're going to see more for that as well. Information sharing, this is very important. You know, nowadays we need a lot of information. When you go to a meet seller or meet buyer, you need information, right? What do we do now? Where do you save the information? Articles, you know, market trends, where do you save it? In your phone, right? Okay, for this website, we actually empower you. We actually save it inside the website itself. So the website relevant to lender, we'll put it there. Client oriented. Okay, this is what I wanted you all. I mean, we wanted you all. The visions, the objective to having this system. We want you to be more client oriented. Be it you are seller agent or buyer agent. Right. Okay, now the next thing, I need your finger to move a bit. Please log in. This is the website. Use the first one. singaporelender.com.sg/admin. Login is your email address. Password 12345678. You can use phone, any mobile, any phone, any model of the phone, as long as it's not those. If it's not smartphone, I cannot help you. At least a smartphone, if not, then it's time for you to upgrade. Macintosh can use Microsoft Friendly as well.
You just can search.
Wi-Fi is I love Hattons, the password. Okay, so I'll move on first. If you can't log in, I think just maybe you can just raise your hand. I think the TSA can help us to attend to it. Right? Okay. Consumer, do you know for website, right? How many of you has your own websites? Have your own website web page? You have, right? How often, how tedious are you to updating the website? You don't update at all, right? Yeah. So I think it's very difficult actually to maintain a website system. It needs a lot of intervention by humans actually. So consumer. Not only that we are using it to support for our back end, we also have a front end which is for consumer. Who is our consumer? All our clients. So they also get access to our website, but to a certain limit, they have to be registered with a member. Then they can see the listing that we have, internal listings. So I'm not going to go through the consumer. I'm going to focus more on the admin side, right? Now, account setting, once you log in, you go to the right hand side, there's this account setting. That's where actually you update your profile, right? And also to change your passwords. I think when you log in the first time, they will prompt you to change your passwords. But thereafter, you can always come to the account setting on the right top hand side under account settings. Okay. All right. This one, access rights. Can you all still remember, you just signed back the form back to us, right? Can you still remember what is your access? What can you access in our system? Did you all read through the lines, the cross? Your own districts. Internal, external, right? Yeah, okay, correct. When you join, first time you call yourself a lender consultant, so there are certain access rights. Yeah. After that, if you clock like 50,000 or 3 deals, then you're promoted to senior lender, right? This comes here first. Then the consultant, you can access to your own district, internal and external. And also regions, internal. You know what's region, right? Like each region is 13, 14, 15, 16. So you can see all the regions internal only. Alright? Okay. Senior lender consultants, when you're promoted, you actually can see region external. Okay, there's a reason why we did this actually. Actually, first of all, we want to protect everyone's own listing. You know, we don't want to expose to unnecessary. You know, everybody put in your effort, your assets are all here. We want it to be protected as well. Okay, district IC, then okay, this thing, other district HLD. Okay, this is I put it upon request. You know what it is? The bottom part is because I know some of you are maybe a buyer agents. You may not be serving only your own districts, right? For example, I'm District 15. I've got buyers who want to see houses for District 19, which I don't have access to it at the moment. So what do we do? Do we stop you from accessing the system? No, we don't. Come to us. You say, okay, I'm serving a buyer. I want to have access to District 19 listings. Come to us. We can give you a temporary access for certain time frames. Then we will actually lock it back again. So actually, we are here to help you to close up, not here to hinder you from closing deals. Okay. Any questions so far? Quite clear, yeah? Okay. Features. Okay, this is something that's interesting. Okay. Can I see, have a hand, a show of hand, right? How many of you have property gurus account? Or how many of you have 99.co account? XRX? Okay, so you have more property gurus. So, Export also have, okay, you have all. Oh, okay. So what are the features when you go to search, right, for listing? What are the features that you usually see? You know, when you are searching a listing for a buyer, what do you search? What are the filters there? Correct. Size? Price. PSF. These are the usual ones. Land tenure. Yeah. So these are the usual stuff that you can see from the existing portal, right? Familiar to you all? Do you know which one is 99.com, which one is Property Guru? Can tell. So you guys are all seasons. So I just want to feature you how different we are from this portal. Right? Okay, we have this called advanced filter features, which is not found in any other portal. Pay attention, yeah? We have number of parkings. Important? Important. How many times your buyer asks you, I need 2 park car lots, you know, for a landed house? Easily, right? Your buyer semi-D, buy a detached, easily more than 2. Some actually terraces can park 2 cars as well. There are some bigger landed terraces. Condition of house. Important. Nowadays we want move in, renovated, brand new. There are difference. Yeah? So all these are criteria. What else you need? What else you need? What other filter or criteria your buyer asks you before that you can't find from other portal?
Facing.
Facing, okay. What else? Granny's room. Yes, lift and pool. All this you can't find in other portal. And is it difficult for you to search? You have to call all the agents, right? If they say the description never say. You have to call whether you have leave or not. No leave, not suitable. You've got swimming pool, got granny's room. These are actually quite common questions asking. Facing directions, leave, swimming pool, landed zoning. Why landed zoning? Do you know why landed zoning? Is it important?
So in case it's being torn down and built in a 5-story taller than you.
Yeah, it's also one of it. Yes, consideration. Yes, one of the consideration for the side of the buyer. Anyone serving buyer agent? Serving buyer who asks about landed zoning? Do you have buyers that want to buy GCP, but I don't want to stay in other warehouse, right? So I only want to look at GCP zoning. Or do you have buyers who I want to stay in detached, but I don't want to stay in mixed landed zoning. I only want in bungalow zone. So that's why we actually put this in as well, the filter. Enough? Is it enough? Enough to serve your buyer? So can close up. Okay, so I think my presentation ends here. No need that, we have more.
Okay. House number.
Important or not?
Yeah.
House number, right?
I only
Okay,
want.
this is something that I want to highlight to you all. This is something that you can't find outside, I guarantee you. Okay, yes, we have brand new, maybe they will actually show the house number. But how many of them they're showing the house number? You know how expensive this could cause, house number. When I reveal the house number, something that we don't give actually. Yeah, so we have it here in the photo. But of course, I think, bear in mind, this is a system. It's actually a give and take. You want something from us, from something from the system, we also need you to contribute. All these are contributions by all of us. Yeah. So to actually make us where we are today, actually. Okay. And the school is actually quite common. Okay, let me go back to the school first. Do you know why I actually highlight this school? Quite common, right? I think XRX has it, 99 Toko has it, our Porto also has it. We have this 1 km and 2 km, right? And you can actually choose which school, right? So the difference is, if you go to SRX and 99, how accurate is this? That's my question. How accurate they are? Because without the house number, you can't actually tell the accuracy. So in our website, right, we have actually got a map here. We can see this orange color and blue color. The blue one denotes internal listing. The orange color denotes external listing. So actually within the radius here, you can see within I choose within 1 km, maybe 1 km, then these are the houses that's available. You can just click and actually comfortably send it to your client.
This is based on the most recent distance policies, right?
Okay, this one, right, we are actually using one map.
Okay, so it's exactly, they have
exactly
changed
one
that.
map, yes. Yes. It's not something that actually we do ourselves. It's actually we're using one map, the thinking, the system. Okay, next is MRT. Okay, MRT I think is quite okay. Again, I think it's about accuracy. Other portals, you don't have this one. So with this 6th Avenue, I have all these houses that I can actually show to my buyer. Same thing, but we have 400 meter and 800 meter. Why 800 meter? Why do you think it's 800 meter?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, right? In Singapore, government said 10 minutes is actually the so-called acceptable range as distance to the MRT. Anything beyond that, Singapore will say, too far already, I don't want. So we actually set 400 and 800 meter. Yeah. So we actually tune it to customer-oriented, the systems in a way. Okay, then port dimension, frontage, dense shape. Okay, this one, I think if a serving buyer or developer, it would be very useful. You're serving a client who actually wanted to be built or subdivide. But there again, all these are pretty much depends on your input. If you don't input, we will not have this information. System is always GIGO. Right? Do you know what is GIGO? Garbage in, garbage out. If you input anything no good, the information will be what we want. Yeah? So actually all these are actually quite important. We actually urge you all, as much as possible, fill up all the fields if you can. It actually helps you all also. So if let's say I've got a buyer one day, I want to buy houses like for the frontage of 10 meter, be a semi-D. Semi-D the usual is 8 meter, right? But I want a 10 meter semi-D. Possible? Yes. Possible, yeah. Possible. So maybe I want that kind of house. I don't want irregular house. I don't only want squarish land shape. So this can be done as well. Yeah. Okay, this feature is interesting, which I want to show you. Please pay attention to this one. We have this, when you go to the listing page, later when you go and log in, the listing page, the first listing page, on every single listing, right, we have this convert and transfer. Edit is where you edit the listing, right? Photo is where you want to upload the photos, later we'll show you more. Fact sheet is where you generate the fact sheets. It's quite generic. But convert transfer, we have this because we are working in a team. We are working in a team now. Things like transfer. Okay, let's talk about convert first. You know what's external listing and internal listing and internal listing, right? You guys know, right? The difference, yeah. So I'm not going through. When we surface external listing, then today I'm going down, actually convert it into internal listing. You, the external listing, I'm the internal lister. I will ask you to convert the listing to my listing. Okay, let me rephrase again. Today you found a listing, for example, Sherry, right? You found a listing, you are the external lister. So she entitled to how many percent comp? If let's say I close. 5%, correct. So today I'm going down, I go and convert. So I get the contact, the marketing rights from the seller that I can actually market the house. So I'm the internal lister, right? So I'll ask Sherry to convert the listing to me. Then she will be external lister, I will be the internal lister. So why we have to go back to external lister? Because she's getting 5%, right? So I have to make her work lah. No, nothing for free, okay? So yeah, so that's the reason lah. Okay, we have to go back. And also actually because I want her to know that I actually converted the external lister, the listing already to my listing. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
Again, please.
Okay, sure.
No,
I can see the
she is a hearted figure.
Okay, we are talking about within our HLD lah, HLD. Whichever listing that you put here without the marketing rights, you are the external lister, right? Because you know the house will sell, but you have no rights to market it. You are the external lister, right?
Okay.
So Sherry today she know this house was selling. Then she input the system as an external listing, right? Become external lister. Then today I go down, I go a door knock. I say, okay, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, can I sell a house? Then she said, yes, you can sell my house. She give me the rights to sell. Then I'm the internal lister, right? So I will go to Sherry. Sherry, I have converted this listing to my listing.
I got it.
Yeah, so she will go and see, click convert the listing, then to my listing. Then she will say, I'm the internal lister.
What
Yes.
happened to the original lister?
She will become the external lister inside the listing.
We lost.
That someone already listing the,
So it's two
the property
of them
already.
again.
So two lister lah basically.
I'm the internal, then she's the external. So she's
External
entitled to 5% if close.
will get
But maybe
5%.
what about the original lister A that listed the?
Okay, because we say this listing, right, is an external lister. It maybe by another agency, right? That one is nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. Because we never go and convert, we never go and talk to the agents. For certain reason she knows, because maybe the buyer told her, okay, this house is for sale. Then she knows only. So she put it in the system as an external lister.
So basically anybody can put in any external listing?
Yes.
And anybody can convert any external listing
Yes.
to an internal?
Yes. But there's a control to it. Later I'm going to go, I'll go to that later. Okay, transfer, okay, sorry, convert, okay lah.
Yeah.
Okay, the more you do, the more you convert, you will get better. So you will click this convert more. So I will count at the back system how many click on the convert by who. Okay, transfer. Transfer is where you transfer the ownership. Okay, this actually happens when, for example, I am today selling this house, right? You want to see? I'm today selling a house, I am the lister, right? So one day, I say, I'm not going to do anything, but I want to pass it on to my colleagues, for example. Then you go to transfer it. You can transfer it to certain colleagues or whoever colleagues that actually take on the marketing rights. But as to how the cost structure being agreed, it will be agreed between the two of you all, being to me and the other the listers. This one, let's go back to the Dropbox era. Remember, if let's say I want to change something, right, it's very tedious. I go to redo the fact sheet again to tell you actually I'm the lister now. So with these two buttons on here, it easily can be transferred the information over. That's how powerful the system is now. Okay. So this final one valid now. Okay, this is something very new. This even our existing even know about it yet. It's here. You see? Okay, external lister and active. These are the two buttons you can actually pay attention to. External, they mean external lister. The active is actually an active listing. There's actually in the market for sale. When we say external, that means it's not our listing, right? It belongs to other external agency listing. So we will actually have this link. This link will actually go to the link by the external ECB, the ECB link. So you know why when we have this link, when we have this, right, we want to see more information about it. We actually can just click here, open external URL. Then you open the either PG or a Navina.com or SIS, whatever URL that actually the external lister input. Later I'll go to that also. Okay, don't worry about the valid. Valid, that means the URL link is still valid. If the house has been sold, right, it will become invalid. Then invalid, that means already sold, so you don't have to waste your time contacting the agents.
If it's sold, you won't be there too, right?
Okay, if it's sold, we have to manually convert into sold listing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sold listing. Okay, now creating listing, internet external. So I actually already told you upfront just now what is internet external listing. So how to create an internal listing? Let's go to that now. Okay, this is the listing page, right? When you click on the listing page itself, there's this called new listing. Click on new listing. Then can you see the mark? You know, it's just like you're playing gun, right? You just shoot. The asterisk is compulsory field. You must fill. Districts, listing status, listing type. Right? District, I think you all know all these are by but listing status can be status there are field. Okay, later I'll go to the listing status. Here. Let's go to the area first. When you go to district, right? You also have to specify area. Okay, area is a segmental zone by each district, which we have already predetermined. So if you do not know, right, go back to your district IC, ask them. So this house actually fall to where? Fall on which area? For example, let me ask District 15. District 15, listen. Let me ask you. Wilkinson fall under which area? Katong, Chuchat, Telok Kurau, or Siglap? Katong, yeah. That's straightforward lah, huh? So if I say Beaumont, Beaumont or Third Streets fall under Siglap. You fall under Siglap, like Franco that side lah. So actually, our district IC will actually show you how we actually segmented our district, our own districts. Why we did that? Why do you think we have to do that? Isn't that district good enough? Like which area good district good enough? 15 is 15 law. Why do we need to go to area? Why do you think we need to do that?
Buyers may be looking at specific
Correct.
area.
Buyer maybe look for a specific area. Where else? Okay, because you want to be ahead, you want to be outstanding, you want to be different from other agents. I'm not only doing district 15, but I know 15 inside, right? Which road, which land, which area are selling. So this here at the back, you can see the last line. This is in line with our quarterly and yearly detailed analysis. When we come to that, you will know better. Later I will show also why we need to go to that extent to go into area. Creating listing status, we have active, on hold, converted, and sold awaiting caveat. Okay, I will skip the converted. Let's look at active. You all know on hold. It can be for certain reasons. Seller not selling anymore. You want to on hold. But maybe you want to on hold for a certain time. Maybe this is not the right time to sell yet. I want to maybe hold for 6 months or something. Converted, just now I covered already. So awaiting caveats. This is something new. We saw a listing is not immediately caveated or reflected on the transaction, right? The UI and all those. It takes time. So why actually we want this? Because we don't want listing that you blast to your buyer without, we don't want you to blast a listing that is already sold. Okay, we are always on the ground. Sometimes we actually share in our chat group and say, okay, this house sold already. How do you know? Sometimes you maybe call the agents, I say, I got buyer, I want to see. Then the agent option issue, right? Option issue, but has not reflected. Then we will convert the listing status into sold and waiting caveat. We are doing this because we don't want the next agent come and say, okay, I want to see, accidentally send this one to my buyer, which already sold. So we are helping each other here as well. Okay, call lister, external lister. Okay, when we come to the listing page, right, this is actually at the middle. Okay, we have call lister. You know what's call lister, right? That means you call, list a listing. We have up to 1 lister, second call lister, third call lister, up to 4 call lister. I think it's good enough. If you have more, you'll do it outside. Okay, this one, right, you may ask me, how to share? How to share? How do you want to share? If you want to call so many call lister, we have cases, I think up to 4. I'm not sure whether you have many, but we have up to 3, 4. We have call lister. How to share?
Equally,
yeah, usually we say equally Usually we say equally. So the call lister share you can put here how many percent. This is down here, just to avoid any misunderstanding which we do not want. We are still human. So we want system to help us to track. After a while, you may forget. They agree with you like maybe 50-50, but actually I do more. You know, that kind of thing. You want to open them. Put it here. External lister, we can have actually 1, 2, 3, 4 external lister. Why do you think we have more external lister also? We have more than one, sorry. Why do you think we have more than one external lister? It happens because, you know, some of you are buddy system maybe. You'll go together and found out that this house is for sale. How do? We do a both of us last year, we both of us the call external lister. 2.5, 2.5. Yeah, that can be done. That can be done as well. Okay, house address. Then when you, after the map, right, you go later you scroll down further, you will see all this. Again, asterisk is actually compulsory. Okay, the house number, street name, postal code. Postal code, please pay attention. Postal code is very, 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 very important. So I put here a bold, put red color, unit number, because it's a first come, first served basis. We have external lister, right? You know, you ask, if I put in already, can the other external and the other party put in the listing again? Cannot. We only recognize the first that put in our systems. So unit number is the one that the system track. If you already put in, the system say, okay, it's already existed and taken by who. Yeah. Okay. Except for sole listing. Sole listing it can be so many times. But active listing, other status, remember just now we got on hold, so awaiting caveat, active, all these can only appear once, the unit number, the postal code. So listing, postal code can appear many times. Okay. Any question for this? Postal code? Great. Okay, then you move further down, you will see house type, number of stories. You know, all these are actually asterisks. All these. Why do you think I want to make it asterisk? I mean, why do you think we want to make it asterisk?
Search.
Correct. It's actually for searchable, right? Second thing, we feel is important field. It's actually so-called frequent ask fields, not question, frequent ask field. These are the fields that's important. People always ask, the Bible will ask from our experience. So we want to make it consistent. Compulsory, so that every fact sheet that we come out, we have the same information as the layout. All this? Okay? Okay, read yourself. Okay, upload house. After you finish, you go to the bottom, right? This save and upload photos. Okay, you can actually drop the photos here. You can drop multiple. You can drop multiple photos. Okay, no limit. Okay, we actually prefer JPEG image file, right? Those nicely taken one. Now PG also can put in a lot of photos, right? Okay, we also can put in, but there's also reason why we want to put in more. Later I'll show more.
Landscape preferred. Landscape preferred.
Oh, sorry. Landscape preferred. Landscape. Landscape. Not portrait. Landscape preferred. Miss out that one. Okay, this is how we did it. You know, we always put in a lot of photos. So when every single photo, right, there's a cover and choose. The cover is actually what we know lah. Choose is actually a new function that we actually allow you all to choose multiple picture, image, and you can delete at one time, at one go. Just another convenience features for you all. Okay. So we always upload a lot of photos, a lot of nice photos inside. There's a reason for it. Okay. And you also can upload customized photo. This one is also very important. Internal listing, especially, we will do what do you call that? Customized fact sheets. I think Michael will cover that further. Later on, we want to do our practices. Okay, but this is what you see. This is only a fraction of it. Almost all. Usually, the internal listing will do fact sheets. Nicer? Nice, right? We will send to our client, which you think you will catch your client's attention.
Yes.
And this also we'll use it to print as a lecture flyers and we actually will distribute.
But these are all considered approved by the management also. No need.
No need. It's our own design.
Management ask us, yes. Not Hunter's management. Ask, yes. Not Hunter's management.
That's right. You want me to play again? Actually, you see, the sharing that we have, the culture that we have, right? Every fact sheet that we do, we actually to have two versions. You know, the one version is with our own number. Let's say I'm the lister, I'll put my own numbers, right? I will create another one called generic fact sheets. This one with a generic, we'll say, okay, call your preferred Hutton's landed consultant. We want you all to post to blast your client as well. We allow you to do that as well. So this can be downloaded from the system as well. Yeah? So from that actually it looks nicer, it catches okay, give you some comparison that you see. This one compared to this one. Same house, you know. If I don't tell you, if I had this one, cannot go to come out together. If I had this one, you know it's this house. You cannot tell, right? You see so many like quality feature, beautiful feature that you want to showcase here. So this is how different it is. It actually catches a lot of attention with this only alone, with the fact sheet that we've done, customized fact sheet. This fact sheet can be generated from system easily. Okay, we standardize it. You can see all the features here, right? All the fields that you feel, right, will be all reflected here. So that's the reason why we want to make it compulsory. Otherwise, you don't want something that's blank here. No, that means no long. Don't leave it blank. Yeah, so it will come up all standardized. Standardization is very important. It's also a part of branding as well. Now, we have something new as well, came out only recently, 3D virtual link and also YouTube video, which we'll cover later by Will and also Cindric. We will tell you how to do it. I'm just covering here that once you did it, you actually can upload into your own listing. Okay? You can see the black box. That means there's something there additional that we have for the listing. Sorry. And you can see all this. Let's say we have a virtual tour, right? We just have to put the link here. Then when you send the fact sheet to your client actually can click and see. There will be a QR code generated. Yeah. So you just click and see. They can see the whole house. But we have a feature where you can actually have a choice to choose to show or not to show. Later I will show you as well. Okay. Now think about it. What do we do after we're creating an internal listing? What do we do usually? Or maybe think about like your current case. If you have a listing, right, what do you do?
Blast out.
Blast, right? You blast out, right?
Blast out.
Correct, exactly. If you don't blast, then nobody will know, right? Right, you got to blast it out. Important, This is our culture will cover by Michael later on. Right? So I'm just actually brief you through a little bit. So with that, we actually have the listing already. You know, for system, we just download it, the fact sheet. We just blast it in HLD main chat group and respective region chat group. And say, okay, we have this one converted to this thing. Okay, show some example. This is what we do. Okay, for example, this house, Eric, is converted, you say converted to internal, this house, and lister, who is a lister, and things like that. This is our culture. So we always cultivate this one to everybody, so that we all do the same thing. It's actually help you to close to if let's say I got buyer, I see this immediately, I'll pass it to my buyer.
You also do when you want.
Oh, okay. This is what we mentioned before. Willie said, okay, we are doing our own districts, but if you are listing on other districts, do you do? Yes, we do.
Yes. Okay.
And of course, we say if you want to take it your own, or you want to pass it to somebody that's actually more familiar. Like for example, I can pass it to Cindric, he's more familiar. Then you get a referral fee. That can be done as well. Okay, no question. We just to blast it. If you do not know what to blast, usually ask the house address, who is the lister, is there any external lister, what's the price, and all those. We have put all this information. Cultivate the same culture that we have at the moment. Yeah? I mean in HLD. We'll touch on more by Michael. Okay, now internal listing. Any questions? If not, I move on to external. Okay, external listing, they are all the same. The fields are all the same. The only thing difference is when you choose listing type as external, these four, right? These are few fields will come up. 5 fields will come up. First, you've got to put in the ECB name. Then you've got to put in the ECB contact number. You've got to put in the ECB, you are the link, contacted agent, yes or no. This is actually asterisk. Only one is asterisk. Okay, why do you think you want to put in all this? Anyone? What do you think?
Source.
Yep.
The source.
The source of it, right? Okay, external listener has a role to play. Not only just sit down, I put the listing there, I wait for my 5%. No. This one, if let's say one day, wait for some, your name?
Paul.
Paul, right? Paul found he's the external lister for a house. Then after that, I said, I go apply, I want to see a Paul, can you help me to arrange?